Oh, that's a deep pass.
Yeah, we should be playing this week and not that Mahomes.
I know. Deep ball. There we go. All right, get this. Ready? Here he goes. Oh! Get the ball! Get the ball! Get the ball! Yeah! Incomplete! We're going to go boo! That's what we...
What was that? Oh.
Boom! We are back with the Pit Podcast. Thank you for joining on this episode. Nate, welcome back. As you can tell, something's a little different. What's happening? Where's Jason? Unfortunately, Jason is going out looking for his backpack, but we do have another special guest here at the Pit Podcast studio, our gracious director, Ian Barber.
Manager.
I'm not your director.
Oh, shoot.
He's the manager.
He's the manager.
Manager Ian.
Manager, welcome. Ian, thank you for being on this show. Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's definitely interesting being on the other side of the table. So.
Yeah, you're right. Right. And actually, the last time we saw you in front of the camera, maybe for a hint, at the kickoff broadcast.
Oh yeah,
for a hint of that. Yeah,
that's right.
And so you were on here earlier, and man, you did something.
But you didn't hook up my mic that time, though. You didn't trust me to say any words. So,
I mean, but hey, you're here now. That's what matters, and couldn't be more happier.
Well, I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah.
Where did you come from?
Where did I come from?
How'd you get started with first? Who are you? Where are you? Steel Armadillos? Why do you have that bumper? How'd you get that? Tell me about yourself, dog.
This is a lot of questions. All right. Well, hello, viewers of the Pit Podcast. Let's see. What can I tell you about myself? So I'm Ian. I started in first my sophomore year of high school on Team 818, the Steel Armadillos. The bumper up there is actually from my junior year, 2017 Steamworks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did 3 years on the team. I was a programmer and head scout for the last little bit before I went to college at Michigan State. Did my 4 years out there. I worked with the tractor technicians and robo-rams in my time out there. And of course, we had COVID to kind of keep things interesting too in that college career. Started volunteering at events during that kind of era too. And after I graduated in 2022, moved back out here. I've been working with the Steel Armadillos and their Viper team now, and working on Pit Podcasts, volunteering at events still through it all, and yeah,
he hasn't quit yet.
Yeah, I mean you're just on and on. You're working and you're putting your heart and soul into this program, and that's wow.
Did you do a robot in 3 days at Michigan State? Was that a thing?
Yeah,
then?
we did it. 3 of the 4 years. Obviously, the infinite recharge kind of went on pretty infinitely there for the second year.
Yeah.
So we only did the 3, and I'll say none of our robot builds were any good. Freshman year, it was held together entirely by zip ties. Kind of completely fell apart in the start of the first match. But as we went on, it got more and more sophisticated, and was kind of a fun experience.
So I guess I robot in 3 days in college was past my time. I didn't do it in college.
Okay.
Would you guys only do it for like the first week or 2 weeks, or like, because obviously it's robot in 3 days, but I'm sure you would continue filming videos and explain the robot and then do documentation maybe, and then like how long would this go on into the semester is my question, right?
Well, if you were a good Ri3D, yeah, that's what you'd want to do.
Yeah.
We weren't.
Okay.
Oh.
So, goal that we had basically was, just try to live stream as much of it for the 3 days as possible. And we put together what we could. Definitely not anything anyone would want to replicate. So, we never put designs out there or anything like that. And we just didn't have the manpower for it either. I mean, it was usually just a group of 3 or 4 of us. So, even just trying to design and get a robot built in, that 72 hours is difficult enough.
Yeah.
Right.
We would go on then. Back then, we had in Michigan the I think they called it FAC, the first alumni collegiate competition. So we would compete with some other Ri3Ds across the state. So usually I was at Michigan State, obviously. Michigan would do one. Kettering would usually be there. Grand Valley, I think, was a pretty common participant. We usually get kind of up to about 5 or 6. Sometimes a few teams would come from out of state. Every so often you'd have a high school team because this would be usually about 4 or 5 weeks into build season. So they'd have something that worked ish enough where they would want to get that opportunity for dry practice too. And it would just be a fun little scrimmage and, get to show it off.
Okay.
Playing one of the first games that year, probably.
Yeah.
Right, with 6 robots or close to, yeah, on a full field. Yes, that's valuable to play the game that early. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So with you currently with your team right now, what is your role as the mentor? Like, what do you provide for your team?
Yeah, so like I mentioned in high school, I was a programmer, and that's what I went to college for, and that's what I do professionally now is kind of programming, data engineering type stuff. And that's not what I want to do once I get off work. I'm tired with it. I don't want to, look at the WPI library and, stuff like that. So when I left college, I transitioned to being a marketing mentor. It kind of aligned closer with what I did as the captain on the team my senior year too, a little bit. So that's kind of what I work with my team. We have, I think, 6 marketing mentors, and
oh wow.
For those who aren't aware kind of our structure with the Steel Armadillos, we have our kind of rookie team, the Steel Vipers. So it's kind of a 2 different team in one building, one build space operation. So between our 2 teams on the marketing sub team, I think we have somewhere between 20 and 30 kids. So
just for marketing?
Just for marketing. Yeah. We have about 110 for between both teams total.
That's an insane number.
It's a lot.
Wow.
So yeah, that's all. I kind of work with marketing, all of our award stuff, social media, fundraising, that type of stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Your marketing team, is that split between the 2 teams, or do you put social media posts for both teams? Does each team have their own separate account? Is it a combined account? Like, what's the setup there?
Pretty much everything is separate at this point. Last year was our first year doing it. There was a bit more of combined efforts on some things, but we're really trying to help differentiate those things and make sure, because the whole concept why we split into 2 teams, because we had those 110 kids, and we weren't, especially on the mechanical and programming side too, right? You can't get 110 kids meaningful action on one robot. It's just not possible.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So split into 2. Now all those kids are getting those opportunities to, do those things that actually mean something to the team. And I, think eventually the goal would be to maybe even look at a 3rd team, have it be like a football program, right? You have your freshman, your JV, your varsity.
Oh my God.
Wow.
But that takes time and mentor power.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it, man. That a lot of that efforts, right? To have that big of a team, like you can really understand why you guys have 2 teams to really like help separate, the incoming new members for like Steel Vipers, right? Steel Vipers, again, that transition for first and how to get ready for that program, but also as they're stepping up in the grade level, right? Get onto Steel Armadillos and really have that knowledge and that preparation for the upcoming season, right? So that's wow, good stuff, right? And it's a lot of stories, I'm sure, that you come along, right, for these levels. Speaking of stories, there's so the funny thing about you and I specifically is that unironically we kind of like knew each other when we were students, when we were on our teams back in 2017 at Michigan State Championships, where our teams, we were staying at the same hotel as one another. I believe it was Friday or Thursday, right? It was one of those days.
I think it was Friday morning.
Friday morning. Gotcha. Yeah. So, and I think I was getting ready with our drive team to get out, get ready to get to SVSU and get ready to compete. and you were in the same elevator as our safety captain and our at the time chairman's now Impact lead. They were in the same elevator as you, and during going up to our rooms or going down to the ground floor, they gave you a safety packet, a little Ziploc bag of like bandages and pixie sticks and other like safety components. And I remember the first time you and I met, you told this story to me. I was saying, my God, how this is the most random, most offensive freaking act that someone has ever done to you, given how we were not at an event, we were at a hotel, just minding our own business, and someone's giving you a pack of safety diabetic packs to bring at the competition just out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was just baffling to me, I guess, at the end of the day, right? Like, I'm at the hotel, I'm just trying to eat my breakfast, you know? Like, I'm in a hotel, I'm sharing it with 3 other teammates. I'm like, I didn't get a good night's sleep. I'm like, not at home. And I'm like, okay, at least we can make waffles down in the lobby. That's awesome, right? Best part of a hotel, the little waffle maker. So I go down early to beat the rush, make my waffle. I'm going back up in the elevator. And yeah, it's like, safety kit. It's like, come on. And I think, we've gotten a bit better as a program where most teams aren't quite as addicted to safety as they were back in that late 2010s era. But my gosh, it's like, we're at the hotel. I don't need this. I'm in an elevator. I'm trying to go back to my room. And I get back to my room. I'm like, guys, 2 people from the Gearheads just gave me the safety pack at the elevator. Like, what am I doing right now? We're at the hotel.
There's no judges. There's no one like taking into account any of the safety stuff at a hotel, right? Because I imagine like at the venue itself, that's when you could probably do that, so that way you make yourselves look good for safety. But it's like at like some random like Holiday Inn hotel.
Yes.
That's like, oh, here's a safety kit.
It's like, wow, thank you. If my blood sugar, well, I guess you never know. The elevator could have got stuck. My blood sugar could have crashed.
That's true.
I mean, I wasn't diabetic then, at least. I don't think I am now either, but
right.
It's better safe than sorry.
Yeah. Which I told not too long ago, I was just talking to our former safety lead, and I told her this story. She couldn't stop dying laughing of how that's how we met, and she was the catalyst for the whole dynamic you and I have, and it was like, gosh, small world. Well, I mean, small elevator, I should say.
Yeah.
So, how'd you get started with Pit Podcast?
How did I get started with Pit Podcast? Well, I think you're pretty familiar with that story too, no? I was just going about my life, kind of chilling, maybe playing Factorial or something. I don't know.
And get a random phone call from Chris trying to drive home from Ann
That's
Arbor.
right. So Chris got a job, and he kind of works with EV chargers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, ready charging.
So, he was out in the middle of nowhere driving home one night, and he called us all, and he was like, so Ian, what do you think about marketing for us for free? Very much emphasis on the free part, might I add to all you. I'm like, you know what? Sure, why not? I'm the mentoring or the marketing mentor for the team, and I don't really actually do any marketing in my real jobs. I'm like, it'll be a good resume booster, get some street cred with the kids, So,
yeah. I manage a podcast. What do you guys do?
So I guess that's kind of how I got involved, and now, gotta crank out those social media posts, build the brand.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite social media post that you've done so far? Any favorite clip or reel or short or tic-tac?
Let's see. That's a tough one. I definitely we kind of did the series of posts, kind of introducing all of our
I like those too. I thought those were fun.
The podcast, and we saw last week. We were kind of going to try to do them for a lot of our guests as well.
Mm.
I think my favorite TikTok. I mean, anytime Chris does something crazy, it comes out great. Breaking the table. And then the cake thing a couple weeks ago, right? It just
Yeah. Yeah.
you can watch those on repeat and it never gets old.
Chris gets clicks.
Chris does
Chris
get clicks.
gets clicks.
What can I say? I just want to make people happy. I want people to smile. And, I'm not going to lie. I do like breaking things. Breaking things is kind of like fun. I think, it's kind of reason why I like bowling. I get to throw a heavy object as hard as I can, knock some pins over, and not get in trouble for it. So, yeah. Speaking of bowling.
Bowling.
Yeah. Bowling's a cool sport. You should try it.
Bowling is cool. Well, we did go bowling that one time.
Oh, we did. That's right. Yeah. We did.
I'm bowling a few times.
I think I got second place in one of the games.
Did you beat Chris?
I can't remember.
I don't think he did.
Shoot.
I don't think he did.
I think he might have.
I don't think he did.
It's tough to beat Chris. Chris actually is a two-handed bowler.
Yeah.
Two hands.
Jason, who's I'm not Jason in case anyone forgot. I'm Ian, but Jason is a three-handed bowler. That's what he said in his fun fact, at least.
That's right. That's right. Which that is how did he do that? How did he do that? I don't know. I really don't know.
When we bowled with him, I didn't see him use three hands, so I'm really curious how that works.
Well, I'm unironically blind as well, so
Makes you the best ref. But actually, Ian is also a ref. So, Ian, how'd you get started with reffing? What was your first year reffing? Was that your first volunteer role?
No, it was my second volunteer. So I never volunteered when I was in high school. So 2019 Deep Space or Destination Deep Space.
wow.
Marketing. That's a
presented by the
marketing
Boeing
mentor right
Company,
there. I'm surprised you
Gotta
even
shout
knew
out
the
the
name.
sponsor.
By Boeing.
Yeah, presented by the Boeing Company. Not by Haas, which is what we've had the last now like 3 years. But
Is there one for this year?
it's Haas,
Haas,
again.
Gene Haas. Yep.
Cool.
But yeah, so I kind of got hooked up with the Shoemaker family that runs the team out of Mason, the Tractor Technicians, which is kind of the biggest team I'd say in the mid-Michigan area. And ended up being an official scorer for one event because that year, right, we had the hatch panels and the cargo balls. We had to manually score that. And I met one of our head refs in FIM, Preston, there, and he was shorthanded the following week at Shepherd, which I don't think that event happens anymore. But he's like, "Hey, you want a ref? I heard you might be interested." I was like, "Sure."
Wow.
So
Fast
that
track
was
to reffing.
That's
second ever event I did was reffing, and I hadn't done anything other than reffing again since when I became a coordinator last year. I moved up the coaching tree a little step. So
We'll miss you. No, yeah. Now you're a volunteer coordinator for the Macomb district for 2 years.
2 years.
you've done
I was
it?
the event coordinator last year, and I'm one of the co-VCs this year.
Gotcha. You excited?
No.
Stressful?
Oh my god.
You've got like a couple more weeks. Well, you still got like a month or two.
Yeah, we're week
2
5.
months.
We got plenty
you got
of time. No,
Yeah.
it's not that bad. I think for me personally, volunteer coordinating is a bit easier. Just because that just involves you need to know people and you need to know what the rules entail and kind of match people and do
Right.
the recruiting
Yeah.
and get people in where they need to be.
Like connecting the dots and all that.
Puzzle
Yeah.
piece, yeah.
And it's like I volunteered enough times by the field now. Like I know what a good FTAA is. I know enough FTAs. I can say, hey, come to my event. You
Right.
know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Event coordinating stuff because you're basically going in. You're at a venue that it's not like your house, right? These are professional facilities. In our case, last year it was the high school. Thankfully, the one I was an alma mater too, so I was kind of familiar with the layout of the building, which helped, and some of the people that worked there.
Nice.
But you're going in and you're like, okay, I need to figure out the layout. I need to figure out how we're going to transform our pits, our field. I need to kind of make sure all the teams are on the same page. We got, rules, make sure custodial's happy. The electrical that goes into making your robotics event run is crazy as well.
Yeah. Big cables.
And then-
Generators.
Masonite. All of it.
Masonite, playing down your tarp, and you're running around the day of like you're just absolutely crazy. You can't be in you can't be in 2-3 places at once, but that's almost what you need to be, especially when it's a brand new event.
Right.
And you're working with a bunch of people who haven't set up an event before, right? And that was the first time I'd ever kind of been involved with setup that early on too. So
Right.
it was tough.
I can't imagine all that logistics that you had to like constantly keep thinking and just keep bouncing back and forth, make sure every piece runs smoothly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're like, all right, got to check the pits, got to check the volunteer room, got to check the field, got to go back and forth, got to be ready in case fire pops up.
Right, right. But I'll say because I was volunteering at that event last year, and I'd say it was a pretty darn good event that you helped set up and just figure out the logistics because it ran smooth. Everyone seemed to have pretty good time. The food, however. This man, I'll tell you, this man got the volunteer food, freaking donuts from a local shop, Olive Garden, and Wingstop. Wingstop. Like, holy that is insane for a volunteer food. Like, again, no schmuck of food, right? And that food was pretty filling. It was pretty filling, and it really helped keep that momentum, that stamina for our roles throughout the day. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
Fed volunteers are happy volunteers.
Absolutely.
that's right. And that's the other thing I forgot. You got all this stuff with the field stuff. You're worried about food too. That's an easy responsibility. And as someone who obviously I've volunteered a lot before, I spent 3 or 4 years reffing, usually doing 4 or 5 weeks an event, right? So you're used to volunteering. You've seen all the different venues and their food, and you learn like okay, this venue, loved that. That's what I want at my event. I'm not doing, a handful of bagels from like the grocery store.
Right.
You're right.
Yep.
Like no one wants that for breakfast. I want fancy donuts.
Yeah.
Really, I wanted a hot breakfast. Like I think you talked about a few weeks ago, the Sydney Nader events. That's one of the the principles that I love about theirs is their hot breakfast.
Yep. Sausage, eggs, pancakes, whatever.
Hash browns.
Yeah. Hot
I
breakfast.
just ran out of momentum to make that happen at the end. I was like, I just got to make sure we get lunch and dinner knocked out, and breakfast will
take care of itself.
Be a later problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of times I don't get breakfast in the morning. I bring my own breakfast, but like the fact that you have something is like greatly appreciated.
Oh yeah.
If it was pancake, sausage, whatever, I think I would still for sure grab it.
Mhm.
But breakfast I'm pretty good on.
Right. Especially when the food's hot, like hot ready foods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a donut, I'm taking a donut.
And
Love
that
donuts.
reminds me, because you told me a great job of that. I do need to shout out, just a bunch of people as well. Because that event, like obviously I'm the coordinator, right? But it wouldn't be possible. We had, probably about another half dozen mentors on my team in various capacities, ranging from a lot of help to a little help that were kind of helping me deal with things. Tons of support from our school district and talking with so many people there. And we had so many people from them as well. Just so happy to provide guidance. Special shout out to Eddie, who I don't think we would have got set up without him. Thankfully, Troy, because we had the Troy 1, Troy 2. It was Troy 2 week, and he was already set up so he could come, help make sure we weren't a complete train wreck.
Nice.
So
Yeah, that's
Love it,
amazing.
Eddie.
Amazing. Yeah.
I like it. I feel like I'm being interrogated a little bit. I feel like I should be asking you questions, but it's like people already know who you all are.
Well,
So
the thing is, it's like, we like you. You are like a nice pasty boy you are just
Juicy with
juicy.
juice.
info and details.
Yeah.
So you said the event used to be at your alma mater high school, right?
Yeah.
How surreal is that to have you hosting a first robotics competition event at your high school for the first time ever, I believe, right?
Yeah, that was the first time.
How surreal is that?
It was really weird. There's some of my teammates who still do kind of work with 818 and are involved with first who were there. So it was kind of, I think, cool for them to be there as well. But for those who don't know, 818 pulls from about a half dozen different high schools. So there's only so many who actually called, Sterling Heights High their home.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Right.
But it was definitely weird looking at like the space where I ate lunch being transformed into where we're doing pits and seeing like the gym where I used to do my baseball drills because I was on the baseball team. Turn into the field and working with all these people who were responsible for making sure my education was great now is kind of the liaison between them and first
Mm-hmm.
and just seeing everyone walk in the building and have generally it seemed like everyone had a great experience. It's definitely very rewarding. Like I mentioned, it's a lot of work, and in that sense, it's not worth looking forward to. But when you see the result of what happens and see the impact it makes, I'd do it again.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And of course the event, it's fun. It's a fun event, So, but speaking of, 818, I really curious, how's your team doing? The past few weeks, 818, I'm sure they've done their due diligence of knowing what the game is, what the process is, what the robot design so what's the update with 818? How are they doing?
So we just finished week 5, I think, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Where's 818 at right now? We've probably started to put something together by this point. I'll just key in the viewers at home. We're recording this 3 weeks early, so we can cut that if we don't want to. But yeah, I mean, the 818 design approach, no, I'm not involved with that, obviously. I'm all marketing. I don't want to touch that.
Well, you said your strategy too, right? Scouting and strategy?
Not really. I was when I was on the team. Nowadays, I leave it handed off rather than dip my. You don't need too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, for sure.
Gordon Ramsay.
But they definitely take a slower approach. The last, I think, 3 years now, it's been week 4, week 5, our 2 competitions. So now that bag day is gone, that means you have a longer build station. So we've spent a couple weeks prototyping. A few weeks catting, figuring out parts, getting them ordered, and then you're kind of playing the waiting game, and then at the last minute, putting everything together and hoping the engineering, everything you did checked out the way you thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then you get programming some time with it to deal with the code, and then driver. Last year I think our drivers only got a couple days before we were at Troy, week 4, competing, and then you're at Troy, Macomb, hopefully States. And those are all back-to-back weekends.
Yeah.
And then Worlds.
And then Worlds if you qualify for that.
Yeah.
And the pace you're going at, I think, is fine because, again, later competitions with no bag, so you have a couple extra weeks to continue building, as long as you're practicing, number 1. And then number 2, with the amount of students you have to build all this stuff, I think that's fine, right? Because you have so many hands that are looking for stuff to do. You could build probably 3 robots for both teams.
Yeah.
I'm sure, right? And
I think 9558's already put together most of, if not the entire kit bot.
okay.
So
Nice.
I think that exists.
Yeah. For much smaller teams, they gotta crank out more work each week, especially if they're going to a week 1. It's just, less time that they can get done. How many times a week do you meet?
Every weekday, Monday through Friday, 5 to 8. We ask each of our students to come in 3 of the 5 days each week. So it's not super strenuous on them. And also it's really difficult for us if we had them all there every day.
Right.
Obviously, right?
No weekends?
No weekends.
Must be nice.
Maybe every once in a blue moon, if the school's open for testing or something, we'll get to do another extra weekend.
'Cause you guys are relying on the school.
For just, because it's just difficult. Because where we host our thing out, if we need custodian there by union rules, and we're the only program that works out of that building, extracurricular wise. So, it can rack up a bill. So,
yeah.
Right.
Do you have any questions for us?
What do you like to know?
I have a lot of questions.
I'm sure you do.
I think it's interesting. Gatorbot alum, Gatorbot mentor. Well, that's you. Gearhead or Night Vision alum. Gearhead or you're a Night Vision, right? No, Gearheads. Sorry, they're both Gross Point. I'm just messing with.
Gatorbot alum, Gatorbot mentor. Gearhead alum, Gearhead mentor.
So what kind of I'm in the same boat, so I could speak to it too. But why
come back?
Why go back home?
Why go back home?
I guess I did get the opportunity to branch out a little bit in my college days, but
you start. You answer the question. Why go back to steel armadillos? Yeah. I think we might all know the answer, but you start.
I got to answer my own question first. What is this podcast? Okay, why go back? I think the biggest thing is just the relationships I had there with the other mentors and the familiarity with the program, right? It was I know the head coach, Mike May, great, now friend of mine. And he was my baseball coach too, and our middle school head coach as well. So, those last 2 years of high school, in the fall, we were coaching FTC as coaches together. He would be, our head coach during robotics. Then he'd be my baseball coach in the spring when, we didn't really advance very far back then. So,
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
we were just really close, and obviously I can relate to those kids a lot better. A lot of them go to a special STEM school half the day. So I've had all the same teachers with them, done the same projects. There's a certain relatability part of it, and it's close to where I'm living. I moved back home, and it's just great to be a part of. Great to bring the experiences I had, being with such a great, in my humble opinion, impact quality team with the tractor technicians, to bring kind of some experience of their culture and what they do with their team back. Same thing with the Robo Rams. I thought that was definitely impactful too, as I, transitioned to being a marketing mentor. Is like, here's what, and it's not about winning awards. It's about what can we do to kind of be a team with that type of culture where you're making an impact in the community. And I felt like I could bring some of that back home.
That's incredible.
But
that's awesome.
This wasn't for me, so let's hear the answers.
Yeah, it's familiarity, a comfort a bit with the mentors that were already there, and to also fill a gap that I felt needed to be filled. We don't have a lot of mentors on the GatorBots. I think we have like 6 or 7. But each one of us kind of has their own area, right? We have a software mentor, we have CAD. I do mostly manufacturing and assembly, then scouting and strategy during competition season. We have like another person who's doing another assembly because we have a lot of people who need mechanical stuff to get put together. But to have like your own area that you own and to feel like you're contributing to a team that needs that help, right? That's kind of why I went back. Just I saw a need and filled that need. Yeah.
Fill that need, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, what made me come back to my team. So during my college career, after high school or whatnot, I didn't really join a team. I just wanted to focus on school, but also still have a way to give back to the program that gave me everything in terms of soft skills, hard skills in the STEM field. And I've been a little bit of field reset, but now current referee, and that has been rewarding myself to really see the impact of teams and hearing their stories and seeing the actual, like, firsthand the impact that they had. That ever since I got my my recent job, some of my friends peer pressured me into seeing how this mentoring game goes, and I figured, well, since I'm living back, in my hometown, my work is in Detroit, I figured, since with Gearheads being, halfway, between, work and home, I figured, what? I'm going to ask them, see how they're doing, and see, do I have a role with a team, and see how it goes. And ever since that first meeting, coming back to the shops how many, like, long, like almost 5+ years, something like that. It was like a shock to like how big the team has grown and how much success it's had. That from where I was as a student, I couldn't be like more prouder, and seeing like the aspects of what I could provide, both from my experience on the team as well as the many years I've been volunteering and hearing and learning from all the other teams. I could really come back and provide the team a more concrete foundation to how we can grow, better as a team, but also be more impactful for the students. And that alone so far has been genuinely as rewarding as just volunteering. And it's amazing. It's amazing. That's why I came back.
Yeah. And I want to call out something. I think both of you brought it up briefly. I think Nate, you might have done a better job with it, but part of what I went back to, I didn't realize until you said it, and it clicked back in my brain, right? It's about filling a need that you saw when you were there. When I was on the team, I think we had just a handful of mechanical mentors, and that was it. no programming mentors, no marketing mentors.
Mhm.
And in the time I was in college, they had a few marketing mentors, but they would all pretty much be like one and done, kind of in and out the door. Like there wasn't much time to build some consistency and structure to that area of the team. So kind of talking, because like I said, with our head coach, Mike May, talking to him over the years while I'm in college, it's like, okay, there's a need there. If you don't find someone to fill that need, I'll come back. And so I kind of started to rebuild that area of the team into something, a bit more structured. And obviously now we have so many other great marketing mentors who've come in around as well to kind of help fill it out. And a lot of them are alumni of the team too that saw the same start.
Yeah.
Right.
I do want to make one last point here before we wrap up. To anyone who's looking to start mentoring a team, if you don't want to go back to your alma mater team or whoever, right? I would really encourage you to look for a team who has a need, right? A couple of years ago when the Gatorbots got removed and from our shop, we had to switch shops and stuff, there was a good chance that we probably weren't coming back for a while, right? And we were starting to look at it and like, are there any other teams that we can go out and help, and what's going to happen? Could we have gone to Goon Squad or Tornadoes or Bears or Steel Armadillos? Sure. Yeah, we've all got friends on those teams. They probably would have, brought us in open arms for sure. Would they still be there without us? Yeah. Right. It's the other teams who are really small and have like a handful of kids with one mentor who's probably a teacher and got, forced into this who need the help, right? It's those teams that need the help that all these alums should try to go back to and look for to help out rather than some of the bigger teams. The bigger teams are fine. They'll be there for a while, right? That's why they're the big successful teams. It's the other teams that everybody forgets about that have students too.
They need the hand.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
those students also deserve a good experience from first, like we did.
Because at the end of the day, it's all for the students.
Yeah.
So
And that, I'm sure there'll come one day I leave the Steel Armadillos and go somewhere else to do something like that too.
Yeah.
There's only so much value to be added. Well, except for the fact that the students recycle every 4 years, so it's a constant struggle.
Yeah.
But
so
Okay. Well, Ian, it's been great having you. Hope you had a great time here.
it's an absolute pleasure.
We're gonna see you behind the desk next week.
Yep. That's
Always chiming in for us, but thank you everybody for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below, ring the bell, do whatever else YouTube wants you to do. Subscribe to TikTok. We got Twitch. We got X. We don't have X. We have
we got
Instagram.
We got Instagram. You should be sure to fill out our question form.
Yep.
You could also take a look at, if you want to be on the guest on the podcast like me or Kevin, we have a form for that as well. Definitely, if you love the Pit Podcast, also share it with a friend. Anything you can do to help, build that engagement. That's what these social media networks like. Leave a comment, leave a like, share it with your friends, share it with your family. Be like, hey, this Ian guest was something. And, Chris likes to carry guests around at the end of the show, too. So if you're a guest on the show, you could be like Nate today if you wanted to be. But definitely like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Anything you want.